Hey, Linda. It's great to have you here. So I'm excited to introduce Linda O'Connor. So Linda is a music manager turned entrepreneur. She went from managing successful bands in Ireland and Los Angeles to founding a company called Micco, which is a platform designed to empower musicians with tools for PR and promotion. She also has a background in psychology. She has a degree and industry experience, and that's part of what's helped her to create a resource that, with Micco, is dedicated to helping make the music industry more accessible by offering affordable tools, guidance, community support to help musicians succeed. So excited to have her on the podcast today.
I gave you quite a mouthful there. I apologize.
It's fantastic. Yeah, I always love to go deep into a little bit of like the background, the backstory, so that I'm about to go down a rabbit hole. So I'm going to pull myself back up. But everyone does have.
You're going down the rabbit hole. I'll follow you. I'll be your canary line.
I can sense myself going into like existential like philosophy mode, which is like a warning signal for me to be like pull back. But I was about to just talk about just like the unique expressions that each of us has and how we're all different expressions of the same source, but like our backgrounds and our experiences, like who we are, even if we're talking about literally the exact same stuff, like who you are and how you express it and articulate it and crystallize it is unique. And so, I think the fact that you have a psychology background and the background that you have, makes you a part of who you are. So it's great to have you on the podcast, and excited to share a little bit of the lessons and insights that you've learned as it relates to things like how Spotify works, navigating the algorithm, how to promote your music successfully without buying a bunch of fake bot plays and potentially even getting like removed from Spotify. So, Linda, it was kind of a long-winded intro, but thank you again for taking the time to be on the podcast today.
I dread the person you're about to talk to because it sounds like too much wind and not enough substance. But we'll see what we can pull out of here.
No, it's going to be awesome. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So, Linda, maybe as an intro for anyone that this is their first time connecting with you, could you share a little bit about the purpose of what inspired Micco and what really like the main problem that you're looking to solve?
Yes. So I don't like bore people with my details either, but yes, I did psychology because honestly, I was really struggling to think of a subject or a job that I really would want. So I was like, the only thing I knew that I loved was people. Like dealing with people, watching people, like watching people do like simple mundane things, to watching people perform, to art, to just like what humans do in this world, how they create things. That was my like passion. And also I was very worried about getting a real job. So luckily the music industry came a calling, and I ended up, just like helping out a band, and then, like everything, it's like once I kind of start something, it's just, oh no, I'm fully committed. And I realized I just loved it because music industry is very multifaceted. It's not just, hey, you have one job. You have several million different hats, and there is a very creative side to it. There's a very business side to it. There's a human side to it. And I think, dealing with people is a huge part of the music industry. Like I know artists like love the creative part. We all do. Like being in the studio is the most magical thing in the world. Like yesterday, I mentioned to you before we popped down here, like we had the opportunity to be down at the Spotify studios downtown LA. And the studio they've set up, they have two. And they're only used for like in-house stuff and some things like that. So we're like, in a way, you're like, it's insanely huge. I think a full grand piano. They have like, they tell bands, don't bring your instruments because we have so many for you to play around with and try. So I'm like, yeah, they do. But yes, the studio is probably the most amazing place you'll ever be in the world. It's like Christmas morning as like presents and gifts just constantly get opened, and you're like, it's so exciting and fun. But on the flip side, then you have to do the hard stuff and the like more, tedious stuff like getting a mix, getting it mastered. And then the fun starts when you're trying to like connect with everyone out there and get your song heard. And you can't just say, here's a link to my song, listen. I know we get sent tons and tons of links, and your heart and soul wants to listen to everything. But until there's a story behind the song that makes you go, I'm interested in the whole picture, not just the song. And that's, okay, I'm so going off tangent here. But like, that's what I say to artists all the time. Like, I know we all want just the kill, this is my song, this is my song, this is my song. But at the end of the day, when you take away all the layers of like the creativity and the fun and the production and everything, we're just like humans trying to connect with other humans. You as an artist are using your incredible gift of music to lyrically, musically, instrumentally connect with other humans that have never met you, which is incredible gift to leave behind and to, you're basically putting yourself out there in the world, replicating your emotions and your thoughts and your feelings and how you perceive the world for other people to connect with. But they also need to connect with you as an artist. And it's not just about the song, like they need to know a little bit more about you as a story. Anyway, I got into the music business because I just love people. I love dealing with every part of it, like the business side, like, that's kind of the thing that kind of got me more and more into the Micco, was because I would go out there, I'd meet with music supervisors, I'd meet with major management companies, record labels, and sometimes I sat there going, how are you in charge of so much? Because really, I am confused by, like, you're the head of this record label, you have so much power, and your other skills, and maybe you're not the nicest person in the world, but interestingly, you are still doing all these things. So, yes. What I found difficult about the music industry is, even though I'm a very personable person and I like meeting with people, the gatekeeping and the like hiding of contacts and people being so cagey, and everyone feels like it's a pizza pie, and if I take a slice, then I'm stealing from you. When it's not a net, like whatever, the sum zero game of like, there's infinite pie for every artist. Like, no one's going to go, I only love Taylor Swift, I don't listen to anything else. Like, the more someone falls in love with an artist, the more they're going to fall in love with more artists, the more space they have in their heart for more music. So what really bothered me about the music industry, and it really kind of came down to this one, where I think he's a very successful manager. He manages a ton of very successful artists. He like told me that his record label, when they send over like marketing, like gets like a radio ad or like a big blog review or a playlist or whatever it is, like they send it over to like, hey, we got this for your artist. They block the email and the contact information, even though they're all on the same team. So that's what artists are up against. They're so difficult to figure out, like, well, who's the person at the radio station that supports and listens to new music? Like, where are the music blogs? Like, how do we contact them? How do we email them? How do we like promote our music? There's a bazillion people out there that are happy to take your money and do nothing for you, but really to try and just like start out and to start building, your skill set at like promoting yourself, reaching out to like people that would genuinely be excited to hear from an artist and support you. That shouldn't be that difficult. So after putting a ton and ton of research in, and us building, me, my friends, people who work in the industry, like sharing our information, because we're like, we want to support each other. We are a community of like-minded people that don't feel the need to hide information from each other. And we got to a point of having 10,000 contacts across everything that you would possibly need to promote your music, like music bloggers, radio, Spotify playlist creators, the independent ones, the ones that actually listen to music and are not charging you to like add your song to a playlist. PR companies, like TikTokers. We realized we should share this with people. We should make it available so everyone has access to this information, because the music industry is hard enough. Like, having all this contact information is not going to make or break you, but it certainly is going to take tons of like hours, weeks, years off your research time, your promotion time. And it's like, hey, it's $10 a month, sign up, cancel right now, and you have access to everything for a month. The goal was just to make it available for people and just go, hey, one less problem to worry about, and like focus on other things. But I guess over the time, especially during COVID and when we were doing a lot more Zooms and talking with people, we realized that having all that information is part of the solution. What they also need is advice, support, like templates, like guides, like, hey, so your single's coming out on this date. Here are some recommendations on distributors that we like that we have talked to and I know that they're good people. Like yesterday, I met with a girl that runs the music side of Linktree. And I've reached out to a couple of other, I'm not going to throw them under the bus, but you know who you are. And I was like, that's rude. I messaged her about, like, I'm just trying to find awesome companies that I can genuinely, heartfeltly, truly recommend to artists and to our community that I know are awesome. And I reached out to her. She works at Linktree. She's in the music department. She got back immediately. I met with her yesterday. I'm like, awesome. Like, they're so, like, they genuinely have this, like, they're so supportive of musicians. Like, they showed us like Billie Eilish's and no, I can't remember Billy's brother's name. Do you know his name? Oh, that won't go down well.
Not off the top of my head. Billie Eilish's brother, you said?
Yeah, who's basically like the he's like
Phineas.
Phineas. Yes, sorry,
Yeah,
Phineas.
I totally just thought about that and I just came up with it. I didn't just Google it.
Oh, nice. Oh, good for you. You're faster than I am. I should have just googled it. But yeah, like her link tree, and there was a couple of other. Oh, Sabrina Carpenter's link tree, and a couple of other artists, and like that, the game has changed there, and I just didn't realize how much it has changed. Like you can have the background as a music video, you can put your music videos in there. Like it is like a fully interactive, like vibrant, like link tree now for musicians, which is cool. So yeah, totally on off tangent. Our goal was to organize all the information for musicians and make it super affordable and easy for them. The more we talked to musicians, the more I was like, you paid how much to who for what? Like $1,000 for someone to send out an email for you. You paid this person $500. And this is a true story. Someone pays someone $500 a month to submit their music through Submit Hub to curators. I'm like, but you could do that. And they're like, yeah, I just don't want to. I'm like, but $500 a month is a lot. Like, I get if you're paying someone for their extensive PR career and their reputation. I get that. Those are connections that are worth paying for. But someone just using Submit Hub, it's really based on the song. It's not your connections there. That's the joy of the platform. We're partners with Groover, by the way. We love Groover because Dorian over there is awesome. And, they're working really hard to like build a community there and make musicians' life easier. So we're that's what we do. We try and find partners that we love. Like Horus Music is another company that we work with because they have a phone number. And I think they might be the only distribution company I've come across that has an actual phone number that you can call and say, hey, can you help me? So we like them. But yes, that is what Micco is about. It's about, here's all the contact information you would possibly need to promote yourself. We're here to give you as much support as we possibly can, like guides and like your single release checklist. So you just put the date in, it tells you one little step every day that you can take leading up to your single release. So it's not overwhelming and you can kind of like get yourself situated without the stress of going, am I missing something? Am I getting this done? Do I have my smart link in place? Did I set up my, my pre-save campaign? Like, do you want to do merch? Do you have like a company set up? We have a company that we recommend in France that we really like. So those kind of like hand-holding support steps. And here's some partners that we have vetted and we trust and we think will really help you with your music career and that won't rip you off. Now, that was a big long answer.
Make sure you stay away from that modern musician crowd.
I
About
don't
those
even
guys.
mention you when I'm on modern musician. That's like walking into McDonald's saying, "My gosh, I need to promote the French fries here." I know it was just recently in the news.
Yeah, it was funny. Horus Music, literally just a couple hours ago, we had a conversation with them. They're awesome. We had them on the podcast recently as well, and so it's really interesting hearing your story. It seems like kind of the through line that I'm noticing between your background and what you're doing now is what you mentioned around like a love of people and community and being interested in like what makes people tick and the psychology of it. Yeah. I mean, gosh, like what a important kind of like fundamental thing, regardless of, the music industry, obviously it's extremely important, like, relationships, building networks, understanding how people think and what makes people tick, but also just like life, life itself in communities and like us, like having conversations here. Like it is really like about, like, it comes down to people connecting. And so I love what you said about music being sort of like an incredible way for music, for people to connect, but really like at the deepest like level, what we're really doing here is like we're figuring out how do we build relationships, how do we connect with other human beings.
We're in the human business.
We're in the human business. We all are. Gosh, knock on wood. I think the AI is probably listening to us right now and it's like, we'll see about that.
Artists are worried about that music part. Like I don't want to get too much into it now because I do really love using AI, and like a big part of our next rollout is, and we've started it, is our AI prompt library for our members, because you can use it very much to help you to just like write your bios, write your pitches, to brainstorm like little things like that, your like social media posts. But at the end of the day, there's a lot to be said about like the human element of mistakes and rawness and things that are real. And we can 100% like there's just something like, I don't know if you've ever read a book called Blink.
I think it's been a few years, but I think I did read that one.
Yeah, and about it's like, there's things that we know and we just don't know why or how we know it. It's like that expertise. It was like one was like someone like a Greek replica statue that everyone had vetted as it was real, and scientifically it was real, but like there was an expert that looked at it and he just like he couldn't say why, but he just knew that it wasn't. And the same with like an EMT who looked at her father-in-law at like a wedding and just knew he was about to have a heart attack. She doesn't know why, but she just knows. Like instinctively, we're trained to know what's real and what's not real. We don't know why. But like not to like diss anyone that goes to get some stuff done. I recommend anyone does whatever they want to make themselves happy. But we can't help but notice that something is different. Like if there is like a feature changed or some surgery done or lips are bigger, you might look better, great, you look beautiful, you feel good, fantastic. But our brain is so trained on what is real and what's human. Like artists like, oh, AI will replace us. AI is never going to replace the raw emotion of an artist performing, connecting. And that's why two things on the human thing. Like one, when I talk to artists sometimes about promoting themselves, I'm like, don't forget that on the other side of this email is another human being. Like we kind of forget that. We're so busy like thinking, my song, my story, I want it on a playlist. I want it on a music blog. I want the support. I want the fans. But if you just like remember for a second that the other side is a human. So when you're pitching your music, and this is like, at the end of the day, people like to work with people that they like. This is why sometimes not the best person for the job gets the job. Maybe not the most, I'm not saying Ed Sheeran, but like Ed Sheeran is an amazing artist, but like everyone says, he's just the nicest guy in the world. And at the end of the day, nice guys don't finish last. Like they don't. Like people like working with nice people. They like dealing with nice people. They like being treated well. So when I talk to artists about pitching themselves, I'm like, try and the goal is that when they read the email, definitely you don't want them scrolling. No one has time to scroll. You're not a PR company, so don't put like press release or new release or like you're not a PR company and you shouldn't want to be. You want to prove to them immediately that you're an artist because they want that connection with the artist. Like there's so much value in that. Like there's so much value in all the P's of promotion, like being personable, being passionate, being professional, being polite, being persistent, but politely persistent. Things, all those P's matter. But at the end of the day, when you reach out to someone, if you can make them feel special, like as in that email was specifically written for them and it doesn't take much. Like that's why we've included so much detail in our databases. Like here's their name, use it. Here are links to their social media. So you can say, I follow you on Instagram, I follow your blog. You could always be like really sneaky and like some posts and, comment here and there. So subconsciously your name becomes familiar. It's a sneaky psychological trick, like infiltrate their subconscious just with like, here we go, some likes, some, don't blow up their Instagram in one day. Be a subtle stalker. Don't be too over the top. But, you want to slide in there, like not into their DMs. You just want to slide onto their profile and show a little bit of support because it is a two-way street business. It is a human business. But if they feel that this email was written for them, you're in the top 1% of people that are pitching to them. If you're not copying and pasting, if you're not blasting them, if you're literally going, hey, John, follow your blog, blog, rock blog 24, whatever his name. I saw your last post on, so-and-so. I love that artist. Big inspiration to me. My music has been compared to that artist. Whatever way you want to say, hey, I actually have looked at your blog. I actually know that you're a human that writes a blog that has a Spotify playlist. I hope, hopefully you will think, don't ever tell someone, I think you will like my music. Like no one wants to be told what they will like. At the end of the day, remember, how would you feel if someone was annoying you and pitching you like, you will like this, you will do this, you will like this, take this, buy this, sell this. Like we're not in the sales business. We're in the promotion. Promotion is a very subtle art of being like a really likable person that someone's like, oh, cool. Like this person wrote this for me. They gave me the time of day. They're very specific about what they want. Like my song comes out, in like 3 weeks on this date. I would love for you to consider it for inclusion in your playlist. I have like a solid following of this, and this, because at the end of the day, they're hoping that you'll promote them, they promote you. thanks so much for your time, blah. And it's really just that simple. Like it doesn't have to be complicated or crazy. It just has to be a human connection to person that actually is a gatekeeper to hundreds, thousands of potential fans. So treat them like a human. Like I've gotten some emails, some doozies, and I'm like, you're sending these to like, dropping the F bombs and the, being mean because I'm like, we're not a blog, so I can't post your music, but I certainly can, like, we have access to blogs if this is something you're looking for. And it's like, not some nice responses back where they're like, well, you buy, that's not what I'm looking for. I'm like, oh, well, good luck to you, sir. You sound lovely. But remember, the industry is very, very small. Everyone knows everyone. And they tend to the pool tends to kind of, people like move from job to job. But, even yesterday when I was there, there's a couple hundred people. A lot of people are, someone moved out here and they're still in the industry and everyone talks to everyone. So you don't want to be that kind of person. And then to tie into the human thing as well, I thought it was interesting. Like there was two TikTok staff members. I don't know exactly what I think they kind of work in the promotional data, music, kind of, doesn't matter. Like who knows what TikTok does? I think that's what scares people. How does it work? But it works really well. Like their thing is artists that get what other people, what makes them tick. As you said, like who cares if TikTok's here in 5 years? But that's not the point. The point is right now, short form content is what resonates with people. So while I know that you want to put out your entire music video on TikTok, or you just want to not be on TikTok or put your face out there, or you don't want to talk, or you don't want to connect with your fan base that way, that it's not something you feel comfortable doing. Right now, at this moment, what's working is that raw human connection, that 30-second to 3-minute video that's real and human and raw, and you're either smart enough to kind of hone in on a entertainment value of a viral lip sync or a trend or a dance moment or something that other people are really finding a virality moment with, that they're enjoying, that it's catching their attention. That's how being extra aware of the platform of what are people finding interesting right now? What is working, what's not working? And they said that they had an artist set up 5 separate TikTok accounts and just try different techniques, different videos, different takes, just a different approach on each account to see what would work. That's her doing her own psychological test to see how she can game the algorithm, and the algorithm's smart enough to know what humans are liking by what they're saving, hearting, and replaying, and it goes quickly, it goes on fire really fast. And she's sitting there doing her psychological experiments by putting out tons of different videos on different profiles to see what is going to catch for her. So it is interesting how creative you have to be with your promotion techniques these days. It isn't just just send out an email, you're done. You have to be on TikTok. You have to be aware of your social presence, whether it's Instagram. I do see what TikTok is being smart. They're trying to trick people in with hey, by the way, now you can just do a photo post. Just try a photo post. And they are doing well. These just it's a carousel of photos to music, but like it or not, the short form content, whether it's Reels or TikTok or YouTube Shorts, is what's resonating with people at the moment. So it's silly not to, at least, I'm not saying create 5 accounts and try everything, but at least try one. Give one account a shot.
This is great. I mean, there's a lot to unpack here. Yeah, I feel like the fundamental thing that I hear you saying is that, the bottom line is that this is all about humans connecting with humans. And however, people are connecting with each other right now, including, some of these platforms with, Instagram Reels and TikTok, the primary way that people are discovering and connecting with each other is through the short form piece of content. And so it's a tool. And ultimately it is about, authenticity and about connecting with other humans. But there are ways that you can be smart about figuring out what's connecting, what's resonating with people right now by looking at things like trends and seeing what are other people, posting, what's working right now, and finding a way to also connect with who you are and you doing those trends in a way. I guess here's a question for you, because I'm sure a lot of artists who are listening to this right now who maybe feel a bit resistant or hesitant about using some of these platforms, or even the concept of like using trends or doing essentially like cover songs, for example, might feel like they are wondering, how do you draw the line between kind of chasing trends and like just doing stuff to try to like, you fit in with what people are searching for right now, while also maintaining your artistic integrity and your authenticity and being yourself. I'm wondering, yeah, if you have any tips or guidance as it relates to, yeah, connecting with people through being yourself while also kind of maximizing some of those opportunities with the trends that are happening right now.
That's a tough question, right? Obviously, as I kind of go back to what I said before, like we know when someone's comfortable or when they're uncomfortable. We know when someone's being themselves or like they're not being themselves. So you should never do like a viral trend if you're not comfortable. Like, of course, you want to be outside your comfort zone. Of course, like that's where we grow. Like, you don't want to be like, well, I'm only safe doing photo things. No, like you be a little uncomfortable, but at the end of the day, you want to be authentic to yourself, but you want to find a way that resonates with bands and shows that like maybe you don't take yourself too seriously as an artist, and that's okay too. Like maybe there's stuff that you're really serious about and that's your music, but maybe the being out there, like, I even watch it like Nora Smith, not the mom talk, but like, she's the very, very viral, very famous, like I don't know, like trad wife thing, but I don't know what the appropriate way of saying it, but she's has many titles, but she's very successful on TikTok. Like she is now kind of like making fun of herself by wearing extravagant dresses. So she's poking fun at herself. So maybe when you're doing something that you're uncomfortable doing, like whether it's a trend or a lip sync or something that you're hoping will help you reach more fans, maybe just make fun of yourself. Maybe like find the humor in it. Maybe, I don't know if you're like seeing on TikTok, like the Dancing with Stars, like the viral lift that everyone's trying. Like most of the most successful ones are the ones that are like the person can't do it and they're failing at getting the person up and they're dropping the person. And it's okay. Like people are excited to see someone try something and, maybe not get it right. And that's okay too. Like, you look at like someone like Chapel Roan, she has literally said that she hated putting out those videos and talking about her like fears and like her life and what she was doing in LA and going live, and she didn't feel comfortable doing it. She didn't want to do it. And kind of, you see that now that she has gone past that point of virality and she's had this amazing year and she's had those amazing, like tours and now these amazing festivals and everything. So now she's like, oh, actually, I don't know if I can curse on this podcast, but there's a bit of like F you to the industry. But like, maybe I don't have to dance every time you tell me to dance. Maybe I will cancel a show for my mental health, and that's, I respect that. And I think, hey, that's how you feel. And you're willing to take the backlash from that. Good for you. Like, and she is willing. She's like, hey, I'm drawing my line. I'm like, creating my safe space and saying, this is what I'm comfortable doing, but I'm not. But before she got to that point of having that success, she was putting TikToks out there every day, even though she said she hated doing it. So do you create TikToks even though you hate doing it? I guess. And how much do you want to reach new people every day? And, they're saying at TikTok, like, hey, so you're trying to create your own trend, for example, like, a lip sync to like your own song or a dance or something, because Chapel Roan did sit there thinking, what can I do that would have a viral moment? Like the lyrics to like TOTT is, she's thinking like, what kind of lyrics should I use that would create like a dance trend? Like she was very strategic about her marketing. She wasn't sitting there going, I'm a struggling artist and I don't care who hears about it. I'm just going to play my shows and that's all I'm going to do. She was sitting there thinking, okay, maybe I don't like this part of the business, but I'm going to do it because my goal is to, start headlining festivals and play to hundreds and thousands of people. I'm going to like shovel through the shit first to get there. I guess it depends. How much shit are you willing to shovel to get to a point where maybe it pays off? Like, are you willing to like put out TikToks and maybe don't represent you? Like TikTok says, whatever you do, don't delete them. It's okay if they don't work, But like the thing is that you're creating the content, you're putting yourself out there. And, I guess what they're trying to say to like all the managers yesterday is ideally, because you can use all the data points that they have in there, and they see a ton of data. Like they see where, who, what they're doing, the time of day, who's liking your video, at what point they're liking it. Like they're like Shazam of videos. They can really pinpoint what's working, what's not working. It's kind of wild, but they're saying to an artist, like, the goal for you is to create some kind of like viral type TikTok that 1, 2, 3, 4 people start to like create their own versions of. That's when you're influencing the platform, and other people are trying to copy what you're doing, and then obviously it kind of goes on. But like, I mean, I always say to people too, I remember a year or so ago, I'm terrible, like it could be yesterday, it could have been 7 years ago, who knows. I remember a year or so ago, Ed Sheeran, Florence and the Machine, at Halsey were all collectively, publicly complaining that their record labels were giving them shit for not trying to create a streaming story on TikTok, on Reels, and not putting themselves out there. And yes, they're sitting there going, "Cute. I've sold millions and millions of records for you. I've sold out tours across the world. Why do I have to dance for you?" And the record label has the balls to say to them, "Look, we can't really market you the way we want to market you. We can't like market this upcoming release as well as we'd like. We can't make this shit happen for you as well as we'd like, or we can't put the full force of our marketing budget behind you without a streaming story." Which in part of you is they're going, you kind of see where someone like Ed Sheeran's coming from. Like, I think I've done enough as an artist. Why should I have to dance on TikTok? But, if record labels are harassing their like golden eggs to dance, can you imagine how important it must be for an indie artist to find their niche on these platforms, that we, as much as before, are not like, while yes, of course you can tour, and of course there's all the things still exist. That's like an amazing thing about the music industry. So much has changed, but all the tools that was available to us before are still there. Like you can still tour, you can still, reach fans. Like CD sales have tripled over the last year. Like, I just talked to Digger's Factory in France last week. They're producing tapes, and those tapes are like, those orders for like CD cassette tapes is through the roof because people want them again. Like young people want cassette tapes. So what might be old, it still works, it's still new. You can still use merch to connect with your fans. You can still, play, stream, live, all of those things. But if the record labels are harassing their major artists to find ways to connect with fans on these platforms, whether it's Reels or TikTok or Twitch or whatever it is now, or whatever shall be in a year's time or 2 years' time, then why would you as an indie artist miss out on that promotional opportunity? Because that's what's happening. Like the only person that's really missing out is you as an artist. Because we are in a numbers business now. It sucks, but it's true. Like, before they even listen to your song, they're already clicking on your profile. They're already looking to see how many followers you have, how many listeners you have on Spotify, how many streams you have on Spotify. Like, how seriously have you taken yourself as an artist at this point? And how many fans have you connected with, and what kind of story have you built for yourself? And I do think it's funny, like Ed Sheeran I think he sang like his first TikTok was like, "I don't know why I'm on TikTok. They're making me do this. I don't want to be here, blah, blah, blah." And it was kind of like surprisingly funny, and it worked. But now he's like the TikTok king. He's always doing some random, like really cool, quirky marketing tools. Like, I don't know if you saw, it was like $2 to see Ed Sheeran, and you're like, what? So it was like a peep show kind of stitch. Did you see that?
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, so people will be like, "Okay, I'll pay $2 to see Ed Sheeran." And other people are like, this is obviously a scam. People go in and the curtain would open, and it'd be Ed Sheeran sitting there, and they like play guitar and sing like 30 seconds of a song, and the curtains would close. Or recently I saw him, like he was on some boat going down a stream or a canal and stopping people going, "Hey, what song do you want to hear?" And they're like, "Oh, is that Ed Sheeran?" And obviously, all of this is content that's like now being put up, like obviously on TikTok. But clearly, he didn't want to do it. Clearly, he's seeing the value of it, and now he seems to be really enjoying it and milking it. So good for him. So it can be done.
That's so interesting.
If Ed Sheeran's doing it, you should do it.
Yeah, I mean, just the point they brought up too, I feel like is really interesting from like a motivation standpoint, and sort of like, do the ends justify the means, and how, like when we're trading short-term pleasure in exchange for like long-term fulfillment, like how do we kind of set, yes, do that for ourselves? And I know the marshmallow test was really interesting, where they had kids and they put like a marshmallow in front of them,
Oh,
and they
yeah,
said, hey, if you don't eat this marshmallow when we leave the room and we come back and it's still there, then you get two marshmallows. And they recorded it. Apparently, it was really funny, just like watching the kids try to resist the urge to like eat the marshmallows.
the key is not to look at it. That's the key. Don't look at the marshmallow. They can trick you. Have to trick your
You're
brain.
right. Gosh, like what is it? That story where you like they tied him up with the sirens, so he like, couldn't, like, even though he heard the sirens call, that he
I
couldn't
don't know that
break
one.
off. Oh, really? What was it
Yeah.
called? The Odyssey, or was it Odysseus? But basically, it's like a story from. I'm probably butchering this, but I think it's like from Greece, from way back, and there was a Homer in the Odyssey. But the takeaway was, it is relevant to this conversation. The captain, they were going to sail through the seas, and there was a bunch of like sirens who would sing like siren songs, and they were very like tempting, where they would try to lure them out, and then they would eat them or they would die or something. And so they had earplugs, and like a bunch of the crew had earplugs, but he didn't have enough earplugs for himself for some reason, I guess. So they had him tie him up to a stake. So like, even though he heard the call, he wouldn't go do it. But I'm curious, I've heard this wisdom kind of reflected in different ways. Like, choose your hard is like one I've heard recently, where it's like, yeah, like life is hard, like get used to it, but like you get to choose your hard. Do you choose to do the hard thing now that's going to like benefit you long term, or do you live the easy life, which leads to like long term, not like things being a lot harder? And yeah, I've always found that concept really interesting, and also like it's a balance, because I don't know, if you're always living for like the future, then you might like miss, and not appreciate the moments like that you're in. But at the same time, like so many of the best things in life come from fulfillment, from like kind of putting aside short term, like I'm just gonna go do a bunch of drugs all day and like not do anything, and, like, which maybe in the okay, we're out. We're gonna have the notebook LLM, finish the rest of our podcast, and but like there is like obviously there's short-term pleasure versus like long-term pleasure, and there's like, so there's a lot of wisdom to like live in the moment, appreciate things, be grateful for what you have, and don't just live in the future. So but I'm curious to hear, if you have any perspective or thoughts as it relates to like that balance of how do you balance both like having goals and wanting to achieve something fulfilling in the future, and doing something hard now. You post it on TikTok, even though you hate it. Like, you hate posting on TikTok right now, but you know that if you do it consistently, that it's going to lead to some, beneficial results. And yeah, I'm curious how you recommend that someone who maybe is watching this right now or listening to this, and they've been on the edge, they've been like, oh, I should probably do this social media thing or Instagram Reels or TikTok, and it just feels overwhelming. I don't really want to do it. How do you recommend they are able to kind of build that discipline habit in themselves?
Well, I actually read a book very recently that like really drives home this point, and it's so small, so I'd highly recommend it to everyone. If you're like me, that's like I bookmarked the start of the chapter and I bookmarked the end of the chapter, so I know when I was getting there. I
Mm-hmm.
really am a big fan of the finish line, even if it's just the
Mm-hmm.
chapter. So I'm not into like I need results. I'm a very like, like I don't want to like label myself as having ADHD, but I know myself that like it's either like I'm always super focused or I don't get anything done. So I like having like, a goal, a deadline, a time frame, get it done. Like what I work well with is in time boxing. So I say from like 3 to like 3:30, this is what I'm going to work on, and like don't give myself other options. Try like tie myself to the chair like that, like Homer. But to talk about hard now, easy later. The book is called Compound Effect. And it's trying to drive home the point that it's actually rarely in life is it the big decisions that you make or the things that you think are the big decisions that have the long term effect on your life. It's not like, tomorrow I'm going to go to the gym for 5 hours, and then like the day after that I'll be fit and healthy. Great. It like everything in life is like small little decisions made consistently over a long period of time, and that is not sexy and that ain't fun and that doesn't sound like a solution to everything, but that's how everything works in the world, in life, in the music industry. And like even just a simple, like you can obviously see it with like diet and exercise and physical health. It's like, it's slowly, and then all at once. So you tomorrow could be I'm going to go do drugs with Michael and we're just going to drink and eat shit food. And we'll be probably okay the next day. We won't feel great. We'll survive and carry on living our lives. If we do that every day for a consistent period of time, you'll end up in an early grave. So one bad decision or one good decision is not going to change your life. But what will change your life and is proven consistently to have that effect is if you make one small decision every day and you stay consistent with it every day. So if you just decide every day, I'm just going to post one little thing, whether it's today I'm just going to create three little things of content. I'm going to take a walk and I'm going to talk about my next coming song or what's coming up or what I'm working on, what I'm afraid of, what didn't work out for me, what my life is like. Because I always say to people, Instagram is your storefront. It's your brand. It's like you telling people this. If they just came and had a quick look, they can get a vibe for who you are as an artist and what you want. Like that's your window shopping. But TikTok is behind the curtain. It's you real as an artist. So you don't have to sit there thinking, I need some big thing to happen to break as an artist. I need to get signed. I need to go on Caviar. I need something big. No, you need the Chapel Roan, the Lady Gaga, the long-term approach of, I'm going to be consistent. Every day I'm going to do one small thing to promote myself, to work on my music, to put myself out there, whatever it is, make a plan for this week. My goal is to at least practice guitar 30 minutes a day. That's my goal for the 1 week. Next week, I'm going to practice piano, or I'm going to write one lyric of a song. And then tomorrow I'll write 2 lyrics and the next day I'll write 3. You're just giving yourself one small little thing to do every day. And all of a sudden it will just build and build and build. And next thing you know, you've written an album, you've created content, you've been working on the art, because every day you dedicated 30 minutes a day to your craft. And it won't seem like a miracle or like an overnight success, but it will feel every day when I don't know if you ever hear Seinfeld, what's his name, the comedian?
Yeah, Jerry Seinfeld, the X's. I think I've heard this one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's there's something so wholly psychologically satisfying of never breaking the chain. I have an app that I rarely buy apps because I think, why would you? But I bought this one because I knew it would work for me. It's called Streaks. And basically it's a digital way of saying, okay, these are the things I want to work on every day, whether it's practicing a language or meditating or trying to drink water even though I'm afraid of hydration. It's just, can I do this consistently over time? And that's all I'm going to focus on. I'm not going to overwhelm myself with I need to book a tour. I need to get on this festival. I'm not going to take these big things that I want and let them overwhelm me and put me in a situation where you're kind of frozen because you don't really know where to start or how to get there. But you can take 30 minutes a day and every week go, hey, so this week I'm just going to work on writing. Next week I'm going to work on creating social media content and I'll just do 30 minutes a day. What I get done, I get done. What I don't, that's okay. And I'll work on the next day, and progress is happiness. When you don't do something that you promised yourself you would do, that's when you start to feel down. That's when you're hard on yourself. That's when you're this whole week went by and I didn't do one fucking thing for music. Sorry, language. I think, it's people just, even if it was you committed to sending, if you're in the promotional phase of your plan for music, because obviously there's a creative phase, there's the planning phase, there's now we're in the promotional phase. If you just say, hey, my goal is simple. I just send 10 emails a day. That's it. That's all I'm going to do. And it's just, you kind of block off a little time in your schedule that works for you, whether it's first thing in the morning or late at night. And you say, that's my time to work on sending 10 emails a day. And when you get that done, you can tick that box. You go, okay. I don't know if I answered your question. I'm always off on my tangent, but yeah, that's my thing about it isn't hard to do something small every day for yourself, as long as you make it manageable. Some people sit down and think, okay, wow, my song's out tomorrow, I have everything to do. Well, that's why I like the 8-week lead up to say, okay, we're going to take 2 weeks to really kind of gather everything, all your assets, get your artwork together, get your profile pictures, make sure your socials are all set up. And that's why we have the single release checklist at Micco, because we know there's I think there's 70 plus steps you can take in there, and it's really manageable for you to be okay, I'm going to take these steps and and that's why we broke it down to 1 a day. Like one a day of like, make sure, set up your Spotify for Artists account, get verified. Like one task a day, super manageable, like not like, here you go, that's everything you need to get done, get it all done tomorrow. Like make it manageable, make it bite-sized, because, like that's a stupid phrase, like how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. And that's everything in life. Like, how do you get healthy? Just work on today. Today, I'm going to walk for 30 minutes. That's all I'm going to do today. Tomorrow, I'll do it again. And before you know it, you're a week down, a month down, 4 months down, and you're like jogging, and you think, wow. But I didn't start off thinking I'm going to run a marathon. I just started off thinking I'll walk 30 minutes a day and see every day. Like, have you heard of Kaizen? It's a Tony Robbins, like he really pushes it, like the Japanese, like
Yeah, it's like the incremental improvements.
Constant and never-ending improvement. Like you can't turn everything around tomorrow, but tomorrow you can be 1% better. And then the next day be 1% better. Like there's a whole, I have 1,000 books on like, how to be better. Well, I should read them. I do my best. That won't be hard. So I do read them. It's pretty much all I read are like these kind of books that are like, Blink or Tony Robbins or anything. Like I'm a fan of like Dr. Wayne Dyer. Like I really do love books about like human psychology, about self-improvement, about meditation, about anything like that. But it was like this like British cycling team, and they were just honestly, I'm from Ireland, so I can be harsh to the British. We have a rapport where we just beat each other up. We should go to a game. We love and hate each other. But it was the British cycling team, if I remember correctly. And even if it wasn't, I'm going to pretend it was. And they were just like the worst. They weren't getting anywhere, anytime. Like it was just like, there was a very famous like bicycle company or bike company, and they were like, hey, can we use your bikes? They're like, no, you guys are just so bad that you'll actually embarrass our brand. So this new like coach comes in, and he's like, they're looking for this massive fix, but hey, we're going to just like we're just turn it all around like Hollywood style, like some TV show or movie. He's like, no, we're going to work on, one, I want to paint all the walls inside the trailers white, so we can see, like, remove all the dust. I don't want any dust. We're going to work on like making sure like their clothes fit right. We're just going to work on small incremental improvements. Nothing game changing. Oh, I got the word in at the end. Nothing like, oh my God, how can anyone take that on board? But it was very small 1% changes over like consistent period of time. Next thing, they were unbeatable. But that's sometimes like, that's life. Like I know we all want tomorrow morning to be like Chapel Roan and like headlining festivals, but maybe you remember like it took her 10 years to get there. And that's okay, because, she became tough and she learned the industry and she learned how to connect with people. And like, she still obviously knows how hard it is. Sometimes people want to connect with you and maybe you're just not feeling it. And like, she's finding that part of the street, like where people are just running up to her, screaming at her from from car windows, a little jarring and understandable, because being in the public eye or being an artist or putting yourself out there, it's not easy for anyone. So don't be hard on yourself. Just work on being 1% better every day. Give yourself a small task to complete every day. And when you get that task done, whatever it is that you set for yourself, give yourself a nice big red X on the calendar or on your planner. Like I'm a big messy planner type person, but I'm like, hey, good job me, because it's all about the small wins. And then when you look back in 6 months, we're like, wow, yay me, I really, I've come a long way. And I think that's, most people like make these huge resolutions on January 1st, think, oh my God, I'm going to be a different person. No, you don't have to be a different person. You just have to be 1% better. And then on the second, continue. And before you know it, it's just manageable and you won't quit, because we're not really meant for these massive changes. We're meant for more slow and steady, wins the race kind of stuff. We all want to be the hare. We're the tortoise. Did you get the talk, or was it just all me? Because I feel bad for you. Do you want me to ask you questions?
This is fantastic. I appreciate it. Yeah. So, I really think that there is magic to habit, habit building, habit development. And like you mentioned, doing the same thing for half an hour a day, an hour a day for a week or a month. And it does get easier. It gets automatic. Like our brains and our habits are magical. It makes doing the hard thing easy if you do it for long enough. And so I think it's motivating to hopefully for everyone that's listening right now to hear that and to remember that, you don't have to feel overwhelmed or go crazy if you just kind of focus on incremental habits and just doing the small thing every single day. So, Linda, it's been awesome connecting with you today. Thank you again so much for coming on the podcast to share some of the lessons that you learned. As someone that has a lot of perspective, being both in the industry and connecting with a lot of the quote unquote gatekeepers, as well as your background in psychology and understanding the people, the connection part of it all. I thought it was a really interesting conversation. So thank you for being here. And for anyone that's listening to this right now who is interested in exploring more of the resources that you've created at Micco, could you share what's the best place for them to go to connect more and to check out Micco?
I'm here to sell. God damn it. Okay, now we're very available, bless us. So we're on Zoom and WhatsApp and Instagram. But if you just go to the website, which might be the easiest to find, is like www.themicco.com. It was supposed to be like the music industry connection company.com, but then I thought I'd be super smart to make it a short algorithm. And I realize now it sounds like the Micco.com, which is fine. As long as you come to us, or you can find us on Instagram at Hey, H-E-Y, Micco, M-I-C-C-O. And yeah, like we're very open to helping artists. If you're a member or not a member, we're just like excited to connect with people. We're excited to, find communities to promote. We just work with Girls Behind the Rock show. They are an incredible community in New York. They have 15,000 members. They're a nonprofit and they're just a wonderful bunch of, this is an incredible community for girls or non-performing people to join, and they're supportive of art, and they just had their open mic. So we love hearing from people in the music industry, musicians, managers, record labels. We kind of like we're a one size fits all, and yeah, we're just constantly growing and evolving, adding a lot of tools that can hopefully like really solve people's problems. That's kind of, we're in the solutions business. That's our goal. You come to us and say, hey, this is my problem. We love that, because then I'm like, oh, okay, cool. We can work on something like that and make it available. Thanks for letting us know that that's what you're struggling with. So yeah, come to us with your struggles and we will do our best to help you. Famous last words.
I like it. I feel like that could be on a slogan, like on a billboard somewhere.
Or I always joke to my significant other. I'm in the solutions business. I'm creative solutions because it's called Solomon's paradox. I don't know if you've heard of it. He's like a King Solomon. You were the one that started with the Greek and stuff. So
I think it's Solomon. Solomon. So now you're not Solo Man. Solomon. That's definitely it. It's definitely Solomon.
So King Solomon, I think if you say it fast and don't think about it, it's fine. People from all around across the lands. See, back in the day, there wasn't like, obviously continents or countries. It's just lands. Across the lands, they all used to come to him for like solutions to like their problem. And he was like amazing at he had the best advice. He was known for like just whatever problem you had, he would find a solution. But the paradox is, because that's why it's called Solomon's paradox, is his own life was in disarray. I love working on other people's problems. Now I don't have to look at myself. So please, start with your problems so I can really focus on you, and then I can just not have to think about what I'm doing.
That's amazing. So there you have it, folks. Come to Linda with all of your struggles and problems, and they will be solved. Kapow. Well, like always, we'll put all the links in the show notes for easy access. And this is a really fun conversation. So Linda, thanks again for being on the podcast today.
Oh my God, thank you so much for having me. And I'm sorry, your ear must be on fire. Now at least you had that cold plunge. You're gonna need it after listening
tomorrow
to me.
morning. I'll every morning. It's a habit. That's just what you're talking about. It's a habit, and it was hard. It was hard getting in the cold plunge the first week, I would say, but it's gotten a lot easier, and it's just this incremental, the small habit, and it's made an impact. I haven't gotten, compared to having the 3 kids, I used to get sick like every month, several times. Now it's like 6 months without. So there you go. That's living proof of what you just shared.
It is incredible, and you can see that it's actually scientifically proven it's boosting your immune system, which is incredible. Now, my question is, do you look forward to getting in the club? Because I'm like, I know, like being comfortable isn't, we're not built, like you'll never grow if you're comfortable. Oh my God, I'll tell you one lobster story and then you can go. But I love telling people the lobster story. So like lobster, he grows a little bigger and then his shell is too tight and he's under pressure and he's uncomfortable. And then he goes under the rock and he sheds his shell and he gets to like grow a bigger one. And over and over the process happens and he gets big and strong and the shell gets stronger and bigger every time. And the whole like story being, you have to be under pressure, you have to be uncomfortable to grow and get strong. So I know that, but also I don't like being like, I don't like being uncomfortable all the time. So I want to know from you, do you actually look forward to the cold plunge now, or is it still like, oh God, here we go?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I mean, I do really enjoy it now. Like I genuinely enjoy it. Like when I'm in the cold plunge and when I get out, I noticeably feel better. I guess there's like endorphins that get released right before, like literally moments before. I feel like almost like mental jujitsu. It's nice having that sort of as like, it's one of the first things I do in the morning when I wake up. And so it is sort of like a way to train my brain to do the uncomfortable thing fast, to eat the frog, just like Brian Tracy suggests. And the way I do it was from a different book I read called I think the 5-second rule.
Yeah.
Food one, but it's
Meg.
It's great.
What's her name? Mel Robbins.
That's right. Yeah, and the whole premise of the book was, you just count down from 5 and you do the thing that like you feel that you don't want to do or that's uncomfortable. And I've found that really helpful for me, like getting out of bed in the morning. For me, going into the cold plunge, I just go 5, 4, 3, 2. And as soon as I start counting down, it's like 99% of the time, like if I start counting down, like all right, I'm gonna do the thing when I get down to 0. But sometimes it takes a little time for me to sort of warm up, be like, okay, like here I go. Like there's the cold plunge in front of me. I'm going to get in that. It's going to be really cold for a few seconds and it's going to start to feel better. But yeah, definitely. I only go in it for about 3 minutes in the morning. So for the cold plunge, I think so the reason I do 3 minutes was it sounds like the science of it says around 3 minutes is like when you get the benefits. And then afterwards you can stay in for longer and it's sort of more of like a mental, maybe just like psychological benefits, but like the health benefits of it like are kind of activated by 3 minutes. That's what I've heard at least. But yeah, it's 3 minutes in the morning and I do my vocal exercises in the morning when I'm in the cold plunge as well. So I kind of like double up with it a little bit. You would think that like when you're in the cold plunge, it would make it harder to sing, but I actually found it doesn't make it harder to sing. So like it's nice warm up in the morning. But Linda, again, it's been great having you on the podcast, and we'll put all the links in the show notes for easy access for Micco. Thank you for what you're doing for the industry, and look forward to catching again soon.
Thank you so much for taking the time to like listen to me. I would say thanks for taking time to talk, but you didn't get to talk. I talked. Thanks for taking the time to listen to me. And yes, I enjoyed it.
It was awesome. It was a pleasure. Yeah!